Hello, everybody. This is 7 o'clock, so we start this symposium of today. Welcome, all of you, at the Inclusive Circus Network gathering at the first episode of this series of 5 episodes you're gonna experience in February, March, and April. I'm Veronika Gallyas from the Hungarian Juggling Association and the Inspiral Circus Center, and I'm honored to welcome you all today at this evening. Those who follow us already knows that in the past we already have 2 series of webinars, and still this one is the most successful so far, with more than 160 registered participants from really from all over the world. This means to me that this is a big community, a strong community, which is still growing, and also means that we are ready to learn from each other, and most importantly, ready to share. And just by looking on the list of registration, my heart became really warm, as with many of you, we are friends and collaborators for years already, and we already have a history behind us. And if you are maybe new to this community, then for sure we have a future. And apparently we have a present for the moment. As always, today too, there are many people in the backstage who are invisible, but still many partners who made this event come true today. And this 5 episode is realized by a project we created with our European friends, all of us being devoted to inclusive circus and has been working on this field for many years, just like most of you guys. This project is funded by the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union. This is the educational program and support of the European Union. And they are not only just a sponsor for us, but really made our dreams happening in the last years. And if you are not applied yet for an Erasmus project, I really encourage all of you that you use this program, because it makes possible that we make all this kind of useful and lovely work which is happening for the moment as well. I would like to name the project partners. Odskocznia Studio from Poland, sorry for my pronunciation, Circus Atelier Vosh from Belgium, Self from Italy, Monociclo from Greece, and Circa de Artistas from Barcelona. And we have today, and not only today, but our friend and also master in this on this way is Craig Quat, who is the presenter of this webinar of today, of this symposium, and also holding together this series of 5 episodes. All the partners you're gonna meet in the next episodes as well. And we also have really interesting guests, and we have always Craig on our side. I have some practical information also for you, that this symposium is going to be recorded, because many of our friends is not here today, so they can look back the best moments and then learn from this video. We are recording the guest main breakout room, but we are not recording the other breakout rooms which were created for chatting flexibly in between us. Also, I would like to ask all of you to stay muted with your microphone. Pay attention that it might be disturbing if you leave your microphone on. So please just mute yourself and put it on once we have the flexible time in the breakout rooms. So I wish you great evening to all of you. I hope you're gonna be back also for the next series. And I also would like to suggest you that you look back the recorded material later on our YouTube channel. So now I give the floor to Craig, and thank you for being with us. Thank you for organizing all this series, and please take the floor and make our evening nice.
Hello and welcome to the Online Inclusive Circus Network Gathering 2025. I'm your host, Craig Quat, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for this 5-part series of online events. Over the next 2 months, we've curated an exciting lineup of presentations and speakers that will dive into emerging conversations around accessible and inclusive juggling for everyone. Throughout this series, we'll explore themes of inclusive adaptation, inclusive application, and inclusive community development. Be sure to check out our social media profiles and your email updates for more news on each episode's topics and guest speakers. Today's theme is adaptation, and we are going to kick things off with a brief overview of some of the key developments that have led to the realization of inclusive juggling props being so widely available around the world. This brief presentation will be followed by a more in-depth interview with one of our community's biggest collaborators in prop development, Davide Cattaneo of Play Juggling in Italy. After the interview, we'll move into what are called breakout rooms to create smaller groups where everyone can share and discuss more personally with each other. And it really does feel like we have a great event planned for everyone today. And so without any further delay, I thank you all for being here with us. And I'm going to begin the presentation. So do keep in mind that we do a lot of stuff. And this presentation is just kind of an overview. I will be moving quickly through a lot of the ideas. The key purpose is just to sort of create context for you guys to begin your conversations with afterwards. So to begin with, in 2010, I started with my first models of adaptive juggling props using mostly PVC pipe and recycled materials. The initial research was self-financed by myself, so I remember taking and working with whatever materials I could find and even doing a little bit of dumpster diving during this time. In 2011, I attended my first circus festival with the American Youth Circus Organization in Sarasota, Florida. It was my first interaction with circus, and it was where I learned that the types of investigations I was making were not currently being explored. And it also was a community that rapidly connected me to other organizations, and it wasn't long before I started receiving requests to visit Europe soon after. Which brings me to 2013, where I managed my first European tour, 2 of my first trips to Europe. I managed to visit Stockholm and a few cities around the UK, which helped introduce the ideas to Europe. And it wasn't soon after that I chose to immigrate to the UK, just so I could be closer to where all the conversations were happening. In 2016 is when I arrived in Italy for the first time and began making partnerships with a lot of the community there. This is where I met Lapo Botteri, who came into the project as a co-thinker and strategic planner in helping to develop conversations around Europe. It is also where I met our guest speaker for today, Davide, who has been a critical force in supporting the growth of functional juggling practice as well. From 2017 to 2019, right before the pandemic, I completed my first world tour of 23 countries across 3 continents with at least 45 formal training courses delivered. The tour did end abruptly with the start of the pandemic while I was in Argentina. But fortunately, it happened like right before I met my partner, Jael Rodriguez, who's the founder of Hula Hoop Integral. And we were able to spend most of the pandemic mixing our methodologies together. And I feel this resulted in a huge advancement of a lot of the materials. In 2020, we were able to publish a book about functional juggling with support of Erasmus Plus and several of our European partners. It is available for free on our website, quatprops.net, and has received over 7,000 downloads from hundreds of countries. We highly encourage you to check out this book for yourself. From 2023 to 2025, so just until actually like a month ago, Jael and I managed a collaboration tour of Hula Hoop Integral and Quat Props methodology. It's a mixed course. And we visited 24 countries and delivered over 40 training courses as well. Okay, so to get into it right from the start, the early research for me started around 2010. And I would describe this period as a sort of an explosive process of creation and solution finding. It did seem like a challenging goal at first to try to make juggling accessible for everyone. But I soon found that if we just asked the right questions, then a lot of the solutions would become more obvious. I do want to note that all of the students in this video are members of the hearing impaired or deaf communities. These were the groups of people that I first began to investigate my ideas about juggling with, and their nonverbal communication capacity had a heavy influence on the methodology from the start. To take a look at some of the props I was designing at this time, I experimented with a lot of ideas, but the main goal was always to try to create some form of mechanically looped system that would allow objects to be either exchanged with myself or with other people. That was my solution for accessibility. And you see here the first prop I named the flux capacitor. It was mostly used just to help people learn about cascade sequences. The cannons there at the bottom corner, that was a nice tool for helping develop object permanence, because the ball disappears in the middle of its path and you need to sort of remember when it's going to appear and where. And then you have what we call the skateboard and the juggle board, which are the same thing, just a mini version and a big version. And this is where we were starting to combine sort of both of the ideas of systems where we could allow us to exchange objects with ourselves and with other people. And then here on the right, you see two more recent versions of the flux capacitor, which is a trying to achieve the same goal. But I think at this point, I got a little bit of a workshop and I was able to start using wood. So I came up with these ideas. Also allowed me to create the Newton, which is like really visually stunning. A lot of people are curious about it. But it was intended for people with more severely limited mobility. So for people who couldn't interact with objects that I was putting on tables or on floors, people in wheelchairs, for example, this became a useful way to interact with those people. I want to give a very special thanks to Amy Elise Cohen of Circus Culture in Ithaca, New York, who's actually responsible for the PVC pipe open source version. At the time that I met her, I was still constructing, with tools and workshops, which isn't accessible to everyone. And her suggestion to put together juggle boards using easily available materials, and you don't need to have any skill level to do it. And this has helped us spread these ideas so much. Early manufacturing. So Camp Hill Village is a home to approximately 250 individuals, including over 100 adults with developmental differences. Residents live in extended family homes and work together on farms and therapeutic craft studios. The community emphasizes biodynamic agriculture, sustainable living, and the creation of handmade goods. So it was a sort of assisted living community where people with disabilities worked in a wood shop and manufactured props. So I collaborated with those people, and they produced for me these beautiful objects. These were the ramps, the first ramps that I designed with them. And it was supposed to be multifunctional. So by having that arm that can move up and down, it allows you to have a stopper for the ball or to do it without a stopper. And you can change the level and the incline. So you're able to play two different incline levels. We also designed it so that it could stack inside of itself to make it easier for shipping. And they are also responsible for this beautiful object, this juggle board. I asked them to design, the highest quality that they could because I wanted it to represent their community as well. And this juggle board uses zero hardware and it's completely fabricated and assembled by people who are considered to be disabled. The downside to this collaboration was that it was super heavy and very difficult to travel with. I think there's only about 8 of these juggle boards in existence and they're kind of spread out all over the place. I do believe that Belfast Community Circus has a good collection. So if you're interested in playing with these, you can contact them. And then in 2016 is when we met Play Juggle. So we did a collaboration to design first commercial model of the juggle board. And I don't want to go into too much detail about this slide because Davide is going to be speaking with us later. But what I do want to mention is that going from prototyping like concepts made out of PVC pipe to working on commercially manufacturable products is like a really big jump. And I wasn't really prepared for it, but luckily, Davide and Play were super supportive and accommodated and mentored me in this process so that we were able to produce a product that was really high quality. And if you're interested in buying juggle boards, you can do that from playjuggling.com. And if you use the promo code PlayQuat, you can get a 10% discount. In 2019, while I was backpacking around Chile, we came up with the idea to do a Generation 2.0 juggle board, which really just took it back to its origins of construction. And that is to have individual lanes that connect together and then allow you to travel a lot easier and a lot lighter. And it also allows for a lot more free play designs and construction. So you can kind of like construct your own juggling environment. It's plug and play. And special thanks for sure to Raul Rodriguez of Cabeza de Martillo, who's responsible for producing those products. And also special thanks to Dario from K8 in Argentina, who's been producing juggle boards for the people here as well. Around 2018, when I was hanging out in Budapest, I got into some performance concepts I started to explore. And the goal with these investigations was to explore performance potentials of the function juggling ideas. I wanted to show that it could be valuable at high level art as well as low level capacity because it's the same thing. And this concept interested me for its potential to visualize juggling in dramatically different ways that was able to capture a lot of what I feel is the hidden mathematics and geometries of juggling. So it's pretty cool stuff. And some of my visions for developing this idea further would be to add sound elements, so to turn it into a musical instrument, and also to be able to perform it with two people, so you could use the negative space in between the lines to create more forms. Taking a look at some of the other prop ideas I have for performance, I'm constantly applying the same concept of sequencing maps. If any of you have taken the training course, and I'm just playing with different mechanical ideas of how to make things move and how to visualize those movements. So it can go from really small to really large. And I'd have to note that probably the biggest influence on me for this period of research would be Ruben Margolin, who's actually a mechanical sculpture artist. And if you're curious, I highly suggest you to check out his work. The other thing I'll say about this is I'm not done investigating the performance potentials. But if I take it further, I want to do it inclusively with people, artists who are not functionally what we expect, right? So different abilities. And if anyone's interested in helping support or fund that idea, you've got connections, you can email quatprops@gmail.com. Now I'm going to get into some of the notable contributors because I haven't built this movement alone. There's been quite a few people who have stepped up along the way to experiment and explore different directions as well. So first, I'd like to shout out to Sticklands, Jamie Moore and Gina Bazinga for their research into 3D printing potentials. It's fun for me when I catch one of these juggle boards in different parts of the world because they had the file online for a while and people were just printing them anywhere they wanted. There's some construction limitations and we're still working on it, but it's an amazing investigation and you should check out their website to learn more. Elge Polet of Bruges in Belgium. I want to mention her work as well. She'll be one of the presenters during this series, but she's made collaborations. She's really enhanced the collaboration approach and professionalizing the design process by working with local design colleges and finding ways to improve the existing designs to make them more accessible and open source. So thank you, Elga. Mark Bieler from Halle in Germany, really helpful in pushing the open source conversation with us. He's the one who contributed the file that we have on the website. So if you saw those Cabeza de Martillo juggle boards, the modular ones, we do have the file on our website, which is available for free because of this guy. Also, CIRCUS Asociación de Artistas, another one of our presenters during this series. They were one of the first groups I saw start to apply the idea of installation or immersion juggling environments. So taking the functional juggling props and just like flood in a zone with them. So just creating an environment of juggling props and allowing people to independently explore them. Now it's become a lot more common, this idea, but they were definitely one of the first I saw take that step. Also, Marcos Karamitros from Crete in Greece, one of the newer members to the community, but he's sort of come onto the scene with an explosive level of creativity and design. And he's really contributed a lot of new props for us in just a short period of time. So thanks, Marcos. To end with some news and events for you, Stage Link, also known as CIRCUS Talk, recently just put out a 1-hour podcast interview with me, where I think I do a pretty good job of talking about social circus and what the challenges are with inclusion. So if you want to learn more about the project, you can check out that with the link here. And also just to mention the function of Stage Link, and that it's sort of like a LinkedIn or FB for artists, and it's got its own sort of extensive database of knowledges. It's definitely more for the artists now, but they're very open to receiving social circus people. So something, if you're curious, to take a look at. And then personal plug, in April, Jael and I will be offering a collaboration training, 16 hours online training course in functional juggling, quat props, and hula hoop into ground methodologies. So if you are curious and you want to take the training course with us, you can visit the website quatprops.net to sign up and register. Cool. To make the conclusion, obviously there was a lot of details about how we got in between each development step there. And I skipped a lot during the presentation, but we're going to dive deeper into these ideas now. With the next interview, the key project collaborator, Play Juggling, who I mentioned during the presentation. So we also expect these conversations to continue more personally during the breakout room sessions that will start just after the interview. So I would now like to welcome to the show Davide Cattaneo, who will be joining us for an interview about his work and perspectives on adaptive trends in juggling. We already learned a little bit about Davide's role through the presentation, and I do want to leave space for him to be able to introduce himself. However, I must say before we start that in my opinion, his work represents a huge shift in how the whole world thinks about how we create and distribute juggling props. I consider Davide to be one of the great juggling minds of our generation, and we are super excited to have him here with us today to discuss and share more of his own thoughts about how ideas of accessibility fit in with juggling and circus. Welcome to the show, Davide.
Thank you, Craig. I hope this is going to be recorded for real, because this is by far the best presentation I received in my whole life. I want to keep it for my personal records. Thank you everyone for your attention and for inviting me. Of course, I'm honored to be here. And it's a bit of a celebration as well, because it means a lot of stuff. It's been happening since we met, so we should really be proud and celebrate this moment. And rather than that, so many kind words of yours, and but the reality is, as always, much simpler. No, we just met and we immediately understood each other and trusted each other and started to play. At the end of the day, what we've been doing since the very beginning, we've been playing a lot with our thoughts, with our ideas, and from then the story goes. So
I got a few interview questions for you. They're mostly about juggling stuff. But I wanted to start with just an icebreaker one. Since you're from Italy, if you could tell everyone here what your favorite flavor of gelato is, and also your favorite kind of pizza.
Ooh, I'm a mega sweet tooth, so I cannot mention my favorite, but let's say pistachio is something really unbelievable. You should always try when you come to Italy. And pizza, I like simple stuff. So the one with the onions from Calabria, so the one with onion and Oregon, and nothing more than that on it, like a regular margarita with onions and Oregon.
Yeah, and just let the ingredients.
Sorry, not Calabria. It's called Pugliese, from Puglia.
Gotcha. All right. So now I'm going to jump into the questions more about juggling.
Please, yes.
And also, yeah, thanks for being here, of course. But can you start by telling us about your career in product manufacturing? What sparked your journey, and how has play juggling evolved over the years?
Okay, I have to start from my dad then, because he is the guy who, after a life dedicated to working in the car industry as a designer, he decided to put himself on his own business at the age of 51. So like me in 3 years' time. I often think this is crazy. So, and he bought the company Play, which was called Play Music Toys, from the previous owner, who was about to close because he was 70 something. And in the very same town my father was born. So it's really a super local business, Play. And he took it over without any zero business entrepreneur spirit, just because he wanted to have his own little reality with machines and stuff to play with. So it was a disaster because he took over a company without knowing how to manage a company. He only knew the technical side of it, which is the spark. Me and my dad, we used to, even if I studied as a lawyer, me and my dad used to, you know, talk to each other by sketching stuff and drawing things. You know, and
so you grew up around plastic manufacturing?
Yeah, he was 51 and I was already 16 then by that time. So I didn't actually grew up in that, but you know, my dad is one of those fix it all, you know, yeah, something is broken, let's fix it, you know, whatever it is. So
yeah,
you're sort of and will to go for attempts
through
and
my
see what happens.
Yeah, through my conversations with you, you're sort of like a master of plastic. Like I've had really long conversations with you about plastic. So I'm just curious, like how you developed those skills, how you became so knowledgeable with manufacturing.
Yeah, of course, the first years when I was a kid, almost still, you know, I used to come and work for my dad just to make some money and go on holiday with my friends. So I would do the basic job, stand by the side of the injection molding machine and learn how to operate it and refill it with new plastic and change the molds and so on, from the very, very lowest level of, so I really learned on the go every day by doing from the simplest
what was your first production of juggling props like? When did you first do that?
Diabolos. That's the origin of everything. My dad used to have this huge distributor from France who had license to sell in Walt Disneyland Paris, and they used to make every year, every season, you know, sets of musical instruments, the recorder, the tambourine, the castanets for the new movie of the year for Disney. And one year this guy showed up with my dad. I still have the fax the guy sent him a Diabolo drawn by hand, and so everybody's talking about juggling and Diabolo in France. We have to do something like this, and so my dad started juggling actually.
What year was that?
I think it was 1994, 1995.
That's like early days of accessing juggling props. So maybe people who aren't familiar or weren't around juggling back in those days, it was really hard to find good quality juggling props.
Extremely.
Like you usually had to go to festivals and they were premium dollar. And Davide, you somehow managed to crack that code though, because you started putting out clubs at some point. And I remember just it changed everything for me, because now I could get props that I needed so easily and they were cheaper and higher quality. How did you
Yeah,
do that?
I mean, the story, of course, it's too long to be, and we don't have that time to tell all the details. It was a very long process, because when you start from zero with no big money and no expertise, you have to really, like, you know, like everything in life, it takes much longer. But yes, I ended up wanting to be not the producer of the cheap stuff that goes in supermarket and these big distribution guys with Walt Disney or whatever, because we also went through really hard times because of that. I really wanted to, when I started going to festivals and conventions, first of all, I fell in love with the environment and juggling. I really understood, oh, that's what that stuff that my dad is doing for the French guy is for, you know? So I had this realization and fell in love. Plus, at that time, there was already the German manufacturer Henry's on the market at the festivals and conventions. And after suffering a lot, really, we went almost bankrupt because of a bad story with a big Italian distributor selling the Diabolos in Italy. After that traumatic experience, for which we really went through really hard times, we had to sell the building, you know, and so on, to pay the debts, whatever. Long story short, that was a turning point for me to say, I really want to be like that guy, that German guy that does high quality stuff for performers and for people who use this stuff for real. That was a turning point. And then by that time, I would have already accumulated enough experience in manufacturing that I really started to be what I am today, a designer, you know, with my own personal style, like any designer. And so I tried to come up with personal solutions. And so if there's anything that represents something that I really started to be noticeable about, it's when the clubs you probably were referring to, the PX3 clubs that we launched in 2003 were the first commercial clubs to have a plastic dowel, plastic extruded dowel, instead of working with wood on the inside, making them cheaper and more resistant, more reliable, so more accessible. And for example, like all those people who perform in the streets or at traffic lights, who cannot afford super expensive objects, but really want very durable props to work with. Really, that was a key product for them to be existing and available, I think. So
And I'm not sure everyone realizes this about the development of juggling culture, is that for a long time props weren't accessible, and your focus to detail and manufacturing like made it a lot more accessible. So in your way, you've made juggling accessible like us. So now I'm going to go on to another question, which is, can you take us back to your first encounter with functional juggling? What were your initial impressions, and how has your collaboration with the Quat Props project been?
Yeah, this is like me and you, our love story. Like we met, I met you in the hall of the Cirque du Mans in Paris, because I go almost every year to see the show. And this was maybe almost 15 years ago, I think more, whatever.
No,
Do
it
you
was
remember the year?
2016. I think it was 2016. No, maybe
Less than
2015.
10. Wow, I thought it was more. Anyways, you were in the
I have to
hall
check that.
showing the crowded with people demonstrating the juggle board. I think it was the pipes one, the plastic pipes one.
Yeah, at that time, yes.
And someone introduced ourselves. I was passing by, and you weren't like, no, you have to stay. You have to come here and spend 10 minutes with me. This is something I have to show you. Probably you heard of me, and maybe you already saw
I knew
me.
exactly who you
And it's
were.
like, oh wow, but there's a show on. I have no time, whatever. Like that. And then I was there, just standing in the middle of a super crowded hall, with you taking me through the very first juggle board practice of my life. And of course, it was love at first sight, because you know, I think it's everyone here, or I hope everyone here or in the future will have the same type of experience, where if you have at least a juggling background, it's so easy to click with the potential of this practice, no, of the juggle board and inclusive juggling, because you immediately realize in a few minutes, oh my God, this is genius. This is so smart. You know, how to show to how to make a non-juggler experience juggling so easily. In 5 minutes time, we were already in our 5 balls cascade pattern, I think, no? And so,
yeah, easy.
And so, you know, sparks everywhere, and immediately made the connection. And I think quite soon after, no, you came to visit me in Italy, and we started really talking seriously about collaboration and making things happen for real.
Yeah, and I would say over the years, you've actually been like more enthusiastic about this than I have at some times. And I remember you like trying to convince me that, no, dude, you have to keep doing this. So I want to hear more about that. Like, why do you feel that way?
Yeah, because that's it. Our love story, it's like this. You are the theorist, and I'm the pragmatic guy of the couple. So you are the one who invented this whole thing, who put together all this incredible amount of information and create. And I always told you, the juggle board is not the product. The product is your incredible method, your whole work. So for me, at that point, 10 years ago, you know, people listening, you should know that one of the reasons for Plays it became what it is with thousands of products is because this area of Italy, the north of Italy, it's hyper productive. It's like really, it's like manufacturer's paradise. You know, whatever I look for, I find it in 20 years area. So for me, the making of the juggle board, you know, to making it accessible to the public, to really start manufacturing it for real rather than open sourcing the design, it wasn't rocket science at all. I mean, of course you can do the same thing in millions of different ways, but you know, for me it was like, you got it, let's do it, we have to do it pronto now, you know, there's no time to lose, let's make a juggle board. Because after you do a presentation of this incredible method, you need to have it there ready for the people to go home with one of those and start practicing immediately. Because it's all great that people can also put themselves in the backyard and with a saw and a wood board and make their own juggle board. That's great, it's fantastic that it's open source, but I think you really want to have it and start using it immediately if you take over the method and the course with you. So that was my, you remember, you know, I was super pushy towards you about this. Let's do it.
Yeah, I appreciate that pushiness though, because I wasn't at some moment. But that kind of leads into one of our other questions a little bit, is like, what do you see as being some of the challenges for growth? I think you started to touch on, which is like having a product available was one of our big needs early on. Now we've got that. Like, what are some of the other challenges you see with developing further?
It's scaling it, because Play, it's a very small company. It's not, you know, a big player with lots of money to invest in distribution and publicity and advertising. And even if you if the community is really achieved an incredible, you know, worldwide spread over distribution, there's still a lot to be done. I mean, it's still small numbers. I'm super proud to announce here that since we met, we must have produced more than 500 juggle boards at this point.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Which is a lot. It sounds like a lot, but if you compare it to, you know, a power tool or a PlayStation or whatever, it's nothing, you know, while at the same time, I'm still a strong believer that it's got so much potential that, you know, it's going to be a slow process, but we have to do the best we can to make it, you know, to spread it around even outside the circus community, because it's quite easy for circus people and jugglers to get it, like, ooh, this is cool, this works great in a bunch of, you know, environments and places. You know, to go out, the challenges are step out of our circus world, you know, and go to therapists, you know, treatment and rehabilitation centers, to the huge community that's there waiting for alternative methods, you know, and we all know how effective it is. So you have this in your pocket, you know, the consciousness that it's a super effective thing. You know that these people are eager to have alternative methods because some people is under treatment for a lifetime, you know, so you know that it's, and the only, you know, the challenge is we are not supported by some big pharmaceutical or whatever company that sends around salesmen and talk about this. So when you do,
we are getting there. If you look at how many people are here today,
no, yes, no,
grassroots is the
so
strategy,
encouraging,
right?
so encouraging.
But we are on a timing, so I want to wrap up. Like, we're so lucky to have you be supportive of this community. Like what you just described, I'm really glad that the community gets to hear like what we've been doing behind the scenes to make this work, and how you've sort of volunteered your expertise to this movement. So thank you so much for that. I want to end with the last question, which is that our collaboration and our friendship began about a decade ago. And in that time, concepts like the juggle board have gained global popularity. So looking ahead over the next 10 years, what are some of the things you see in the future of functional juggling?
It's what we just discussed, what I was just, you know, to really step out our beautiful, fantastic little circus community and really be considered like what it deserves to be considered, like, you know, an extremely valid therapeutical methodology for treatments of a huge variety of, you know, conditions and disorders and so on. You know this better than me. I don't even have the terminology to talk about this. I see the potential, but I can't talk about it enough with the proper, you know, vocabulary. So
we're on the same wavelength with this as well. Like we both see the potential to open up the conversation about circus with so many more people than we've ever thought to do before. Because when it becomes a tool of intervention, then it becomes for everybody. So thank you so much for this interview.
Yeah, to wrap it up, I see the possibility of an exponential growth, and I really my wish is that in 8 years' time we will be incredibly surprised where it will get. But
yeah,
you know,
I'm excited. I'm excited. And thank you so much, Davide, for joining us. He will be available in the breakout room for answering questions directly for people. I do need to do a screen share right now to introduce how the breakout rooms are going to work.
Let me say thank you, everybody, for your time and for being here listening to us. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you, Craig.
No problems. So I should have a breakout room slide here. Here we go. Breakout rooms are coming in. We're going to have the first room is going to be adaptation and creation. So that will be the continuation of the conversation you've been listening to with Davide. Breakout room number 2 is application and practice, where if you're interested to talk about how are these ideas being applied in classroom settings, what do I do if I have a big group, things like that, that's the place to go and talk about those ideas. Room number 3 is community and networking. So if you're part of an organization, you're talking about building more network, getting to know people in different parts of the world, that would be a space for you to hang out. And the 4th room is the open hall, which is sort of news and sharing. So if you're not interested in any of those topics and you just really want to network, share your ideas, make announcements, you can hang out in room number 4. I'm going to pass it over to Bendigus now so he can start that process for us.
Now I will demonstrate how the breakout rooms work. Actually, I will open them. And here we have all the 4 rooms open. If you are from a PC or other computer, you will see down a button which is 4 squares, like the old Windows logo, and that shows the breakout rooms. If you are from a phone, I will show you here that in this corner you will have this breakout room logo. You will have to click on that. And there you can change the breakout rooms. And Feel free to join whatever room you want to join. The first room where Craig is going to be recorded, all the other rooms are just casual things. And after half an hour, I will say that the breakout rooms are closing. Everyone will hear that, and I will close that after 35 minutes, and everyone will come back to this room. So feel free to chat and to share ideas. Thank you.
This is the breakout room for episode 1, Adaptations. We're here with Davide Cattaneo of Play Juggling, and this is a space for Q&A about the presentations we just saw, and anything else you want to talk about related to adaptation and prop development is the theme. So, anyone have a question? Mark Beeler, let's go.
Yeah. Hello, Davide. I have a question to you. So I'm really interested in like the challenges and the process you went through from the prototype to a product where you say, okay, this can be industrialized. Because we did quite a lot of work with CNC machines, and for us, it was more to get a cleaner design and to fit to our purposes. It was not really about product development, but I'm really interested what experience you had.
That's a good question, and it shows it's coming from someone who tried to make to produce juggleboards itself. The truth is that Craig had very clear ideas about how the juggleboard should be, so I didn't have to work almost at all about that, you know, about the shape of the rails and so on. And the second truth is that the actual juggleboard that we sell is not correctly industrialized in order to be commercially available, meaning that we have been supported for from the very beginning the project, and as I said earlier, it was important for me to put someone on the market ready, available for anyone in case they wanted to take over the method and try and experience that. That said, the way it's done, CNC machine with beech plywood of high quality, it's extremely expensive. So so far, even if I'm super proud, we sold over 500, as I said, we didn't make barely any profit on the sales of the juggleboard because we really, so if I had to recommend someone how to industrialize this product, we would have to open a second conversation, which is on the table already, which is like, is it now the time to invest into a plastic version of the juggleboard, investing in molds to make it more cheaper and therefore easily available for everyone, more accessible in terms of price? Because that would be the only solution. As long as you do high quality CNC product with a lot of handwork and finishing after the manufacturing, it's either people have to be ready to pay 350 euros for a juggleboard, or it's not going to be a properly industrialized product as it is. Still, we are super proud and happy that it's out there, and we will carry on. The next step would be making it with another technology, investing in molds, so that you have a first initial investment of several thousand euros, but then the pieces themselves of the juggleboard would be costing only a few euros, and so it would be a much lower public price compared to now. I hope this answers your question. I don't know if it was the key point for you, the price or not, but
yeah, let's say I have a follow-up question. It was not exactly what I meant, but it was certainly interesting because, like I said, we never thought about like making a product out of it, or maybe even in a high class price. So, but that was never what was interesting for us. No, I was more interested into like you have a prototype that's sometimes not at all like the end product. And this process from like you seeing, okay, this is what Craig said, I see this thing here, and now I have to come up with a new design basically, based on the materials you are using, on the techniques you are using, if you're using CNC or whatever other techniques. And basically this process, that's what I was asking for. So,
yes, which is more in what really I do every day of my life. And yeah, that's really an ongoing journey, because of course you start from the technology you have available, and so your brain start finding solution considering what you can do with the technology available. So the more you learn about alternative technologies, the more solutions, because what I learned through the years is that you have plenty of solutions for each problem. You know, you can do infinite variety of good products that solve all the troubles. There's always many options. It's really depending on the job becomes really, how much is this? Is it available? Is it like does it take a long time to get to this place or these parts? And is it too complicated to assemble? So it's my mental process is like really simplify as much as possible. And of course, prototyping plays a big part in this process, because one thing is what you have in your head, of course, and one thing is when it's there in front of you and it's, oh, this is not at all as I expected it to become. And so
I'd like to comment on the emphasis of prototyping that you have through my collaboration, the 2 years. Like, you were sending me prototypes in the UK like overnight and telling me play with it, tell me how it works and what it needs. And now you're currently doing the same thing with the Self Apps project in Italy, where he's, you know, still experimenting with Newtons, with ramps, with anything the community comes to you with, and then you prototype it, you put it out into their hands, and you collect feedback, right?
Yeah, because I consider myself lucky. I have all these technologies and sources around myself, easy and accessible for me, but I can't tell what's good or not. And I do the same. I've always been doing the same with the juggling props. You know, for me, going to juggling conventions and festival, it's always been vital for that, because you know, you have such an important exchange from the end users. Immediate, that I always go back from a festival with 1 million new ideas or new projects to work on. And then so one thing that I learned it's that rushing things, it's a huge mistake. So when you're younger and you want to get it done as soon as possible because you're so happy about your idea, it's one of the biggest mistakes. So if you have the luxury to not depend on the making of that product, economically speaking, to survive, take the time to think over things, not twice, 1 million times.
I think that was
it's when you are on holiday, you know, after 3 months, you've been sleepless thinking about something, that you have the revelation of, that's how I should do this.
That was exactly my experience in working with you. Like, I rushed in with like, I got these great ideas, and you were ready to work with me, but like, okay, here's how we layer this cake. Like, here's how we lay the foundation. Jamie and Gina from Sticklands have their hand raised. Do you have a question?
Ciao, guys. You're the 3D printing heroes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Yeah, great to meet you as well.
Yes.
Yeah, just so overhearing about is it time to move to, you know, like injection molding, rotary molding? It really isn't, is it? It just doesn't work at this point in this time, for the number of different pieces that we'd need molded to make, for the number of different pieces that we'd need to put products together to make them both transportable, and, you know, you get the idea. It's for anyone that doesn't know, it costs so much to get a single mold made. So I've been giving it a lot of thought. I've actually sold my 3D printers and just released my files for now. I needed a break. It led me to a little bit of burnout, and I'm ready for a new challenge. But I'll tell you what I have got for you. I've got an idea that might be able to solve this production.
The best thing.
3D printed molds with high density foam inserts. So the 3D printed molds themselves can be made by yourself, but can also be made in another country.
Yes.
And injected with high density mold. And then obviously you push the part through, which means that like Craig, for example, if he wanted to travel to a new country and take 20 boards along, he would need to take one set of molds and buy the foam in that country. Now we solve another problem here, which is that you can't hit people very hard with mold, with foam. But high density foam that will hold together well enough.
We've been experimenting this with Marcos. The last time they came to Italy, I was actually we were laser cutting high density foam to do the rails, because it's a super accessible material. You know, the mats for gymnastics, you have them in different thicknesses and densities. So we played the whole night before Marcos was supposed to leave to go back home. We were here lasering and stuff, and then we had troubles with the flexibility of that, and so started talking about making a sandwich structure with something cheaper than the super expensive plywood of beech that we normally use, and thinner, and then the foam on top. So it's this one that you talk about, it's like you should do it. You should do it, and then you can I think experiment that it's a shitty, dirty process working with those foams and molding and stuff. And you and me, we would have the time of our life building juggle boards together for a few months like that. But the greatest majority of people, I'm sorry to say, this is my experience, it's hard to get them to use a screwdriver to tighten the screw of a club knob. You know what I mean? So it's really, really very much, it's a great solution. It's a great idea, but it demands a lot of collaboration on the other side. So once more, I started by saying, whatever, we need a juggle board ready so people can start playing, and then many solutions. That said, talking about molding, we are there, because if anyone, like let's say me, I was ready to spend 10,000, 15,000 euros on the 2-3 molds it requires to blow mold the rails, let's say. But then if the juggle board would be sold for a price of, let's say, 60 euros altogether, 70 instead of 200, 300, whatever, then there would be, a what do you call that in English? It would promote the diffusion, accelerator, right? So if anyone would have the guts to invest not infinite amount of money, because then making 1,000 pieces blow molded, it would cost you 1,000 euros, altogether. It's the initial investment, the step to get over. But then, imagine, people can buy a juggle board for 60 euros instead of 250, or 3 working days in the backyard because they make their own one. And again, once more, it makes me laugh so much that you sold your 3D printer because you got stressed about it, because, just behind me, you see only filaments and 3D printers and stuff. And I know the frustration of the prototyping job with the 3D printers, but I really admired from here what you did. And I have one of your models. I own one because Craig gave me one of his, and it was fantastic. So unfortunately, yes, it's time consuming. It would be fantastic if you press the button, come back the next day, and one juggle board is ready. For as slow as it is 3D printing, it should be more, you know, like automatic, but it's not the case. We know that. And so that what makes it, you know, frustrating in the end, no? Because one little change in your 14.5-hour sprint is to be thrown away. So that's not the way to do production, at least of big objects, at least today, because already there are some 3D printings these days which are unbelievable compared to the ones that I used to use 10 years ago. But still, the juggle board in particular, it is a big object. So
I think the key thing here is like the technology is not there yet, but I do feel like the research is Ficklin's done. So now they're quite familiar with this production process. Eventually, something's going to hit the market, and it's going to be like, okay, now we can do all these things. But we're just in the early stages of that.
No, it's happening already. There's 3D printers today that a few years ago you needed to be a bit of a nerd to operate them. And now it's much more user-friendly. They have cameras, they do autofocus, they clean themselves from one filament to the other. It's more, for me, the trouble is the size of the... I do production of stuff. You know, this inside the LED balls we do, there's one unit that it's 3D printed. I don't do molds anymore because it's a small object and you do 200 per time, and it is time, the technology is there. But you know, the juggle board is a 1 meter by 60 something centimeter. It's a lot of material, you know, and 3D printing is, I don't think it's, even if you have a huge 3D printer, it's still not meant for production in this respect. There are super explored technology like blow molding, roto molding, injection molding, which has been used for 50 years now, 60 years, and makes the end product extremely cheap. It's only, you know, we are a small industry. We are small. What I mentioned earlier in the interview, there's no big players. So this is what makes the process of divulgation of the movement so slow. I'm sorry, I would love to have a couple of €100,000 to throw into marketing, advertising, molds, and production. I'm super sorry. It's a 6-people company. What we're talking about here, and so we're doing already.
Scale has always been a theme of challenge for us, and we've also come up with a lot of solutions in the meantime. It's why we have all these open sources, so like everyone's filling the gaps while we can, because it's kind of, I feel like it's a chicken and an egg conversation, right? Like we need there to be an industry so that we can manufacture the product. We can't manufacture the product until there's an industry, and we can't grow an industry without the product. And so it's this.
Yeah, but it's very often the case, you know, out of topic, but similar, you know. We are super popular in South America. Play juggling is like known by every juggler. We have an incredible potential there, but there's not one importing company that is ready to, you know, buy products from Europe, pay the tariffs, custom duties. No one in this small industry has, and we are not talking about million. We're talking about. And same here, you know, it's not that it's required a huge investment, but you know, we are small and little, so we have to.
I'm gonna cut this topic here and see if there's anyone else who has some more questions. Maybe something less about manufacture and more about the creation of inclusive juggling props or things like that. But anyone who has another question, because we still have about, I think, 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Lovely to talk to you, Davide. And yes, I also would like to spend another 1 or 2 months maybe just playing around with you. So if you do have 1 or 2 months, just send me an invite and I'll come to Italy.
You know, there's been a guy building his own sauna on a trailer in my backyard for the last month. So, and my wife always tells me the worst thing about me is that I can't say no. So just show up, dude, and we get started.
We're pretty good at doing that. So we'll call you on it.
I know what I'm talking about.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, man.
See you tomorrow. All right. Anyone else have some questions or even stories? get to know each other. Has anyone here tried manufacturing themselves besides Mark? We had Mark as a manufacturer. Marcos, you build things. Scott Sorensen has a question.
Hello. I apologize. I don't have a camera on my main PC here. But yeah, I'm over in the United States and I manufacture products using expandable urethane foams and make soft juggling clubs for beginning juggling. And as people get older, they've stopped juggling because their hands hurt, and it kind of has given them new life. So this is kind of exploded over here. Every time I bring my props to conventions, they sell out and everybody wants to touch them and feel them and say, why don't we use these to play combat and hit each other?
I have a question then. I'm the one making questions now because it's one of my oldest dreams to work with EVA.
Yeah, it's more manufacturing talk. I apologize. But yeah, it is, just like you said, it's a brutal product. It's toxic and very hard to figure out. And it takes years to understand the nuances of the chemistry and temperature and pressures. But as I'm hearing you talk about these other products, I think about, well, there's, when you want to get them accessible, there may be different sizes that fit for different, size people. So juggle board, a child-sized juggle board seems to make sense. That's not 1 meter long, maybe 0.5 meter, and that's more shippable. And then are the different slats, could they be closed like an accordion so it fits in a small, cubicle box or something? So my head's all spinning, and then I'm thinking, of course, I make foam. So can you make a foam version of such a thing?
I've been investigating on, EVA, like the Crocs shoes.
Yeah, like Crocs.
Born in California. That's EVA. It's not polyurethane. It's an amazing material. That's, in this respect, it's a technology that I didn't know before, but I went to a couple of companies who use this technology to make shoes and other stuff for swimming pools, floatables and stuff. And it's really tricky because there's a ratio of expansion. So imagine maybe I learned, I didn't know, the mold of a Crocs that it's 11 size, it's like this. So you have to be super good at calculating how big is got to be the original mold to have the final result. And then this technology works on a kind of carousels, because it's a long process for which you have to have maybe minimum 20, 30 molds for each object you want to produce, because otherwise it wouldn't be efficient enough to pay the cost of this machine. So every shoe sole, every Croc shoe, it's like you have to imagine a round carousel, and this machine injects the two ingredients, in this case EVA and the expanding agent, in each mold. Then the mold move on, second mold, third mold, and these having multiple molds, which is also the case in rotomolding, how we do the shells of the bowls. We have 36 or 24 molds for each model of bowl that we manufacture, because our slow processes, when I say slow, I mean that you blow mold a juggling club body in 35 seconds, and you roto mold a series of juggling balls in 12 minutes. So it's an enormous difference. Hence, you can't do the job with one mold. No one that owns a machine like those will accept to do one juggle board rail mold only. It's like, it's either you want to invest in 24 molds or nothing.
Right. That's what I've had to do. You had to make many, many molds, because I realized, well, some of these things have to cure for an hour, and that's only half of the product. Then you have to make the handle. So it's the similar problem. I'd have to make, 10 molds to do a board like this.
What you do, man. It's fun. I always love to have also to make a combat club in EVA, in foam. I love combat.
I thought that's what I was making, but accessibility turned to be out what it really was about.
Even better, even better. Congratulations, man.
But I love the idea of a smaller board. Maybe even my CNC machine is cheaper I think it was 2,500, not counting the computer you have to connect to it and, vacuuming, but that it was cheaper than making one mold for other products. So it seems fairly accessible. If there was the G code or the model that was open source, it said you could, put this on your CNC and cut this out of this material.
Yes.
We have that model. It's on our website. On our website.
Hello.
I'm only learning today, so that's
yeah. Go to quatprops.net, and that's courtesy of Mark Bielert from Germany.
And you've tried the density foam, cutting it.
The open source concept is what gives me hope for humanity these days, given that lots of other aspects are not as positive as we wish, It is a great principle, and it's incredible. The sub communities, in 3D printing, for example, you find infinite amounts of objects, useful or less useful, that are free and available. So it absolutely, it is a fantastic thing. But then, for as much as there's millions of people 3D printing in their houses, we are 8 billions. So meaning that, you're going to do something fantastic to share the information to everyone for free, but still the majority of people, here is like where the road splits, even about functional juggling in general. You can create infinite props to practice functional juggling, because see the projects in Belgium, or everyone came up with original ideas, new props. Marcus invented, I don't know how many, 10 in 10 different types of objects so quickly. But then it's more about, is making the making of the props more available the point, or is the use of the prop the point? Because a lot of people are not into making stuff, are just, as we said, therapists, super ready to embrace the method, and they just want to go after, and having the file or the open source file to make it themselves is not at all the solution, so you will surely make a small community of happy makers even happier, having the files and the means to do it themselves. But when we're talking about the future, the challenges, I keep in mind, the commercial side of of all things that I had to learn. I was forced to learn having a business, a manufacturing business. I didn't expect I had to learn to deal with banks, with marketing, I just wanted to create objects, But the reality is that if you really want to do the job properly and spread something that you believe into, you have to play the rules of the market, learn what are the profits that make people in the industry move, work with salesmen or whatever, and then you will see something growing like we see every day. And here I'm not talking about the selling of the juggle boards. I'm talking about the selling, spreading of the inclusive juggling methodology. It requires a lot of.
Where are you based? Where's this guy based? Who is it? It's Scott.
Scott. Yeah, I'm in California, United States.
Which part of California?
I'm in Redding, just south of Mount Shasta, so the very north, out in the beautiful.
Okay. Trying to think which communities we have out there that you could connect with. So down in
about
Southern
4
California.
hours from San Francisco. So,
yeah, I was there. I was in San Francisco last year, passing through. I'm trying to think. Down in there's circus schools, but in the U.S., it's still sort of a new idea in the U.S. It's like we've had trouble to develop there, like as easily. I think there's some more cultural barriers. So again, we really appreciate you being there, trying to make things accessible for people. But if you've already got this accessible prop, I think you could add the juggle board to your catalog. And just to make it clear, because it's open source, like there's no financial arrangements, there's no need to ask for permission. You know, you can do that and make it part of your business. I just, you're a little bit isolated out there, so you got to kind of start from scratch.
Right. I have to go to regional events and bring them and share them.
Yeah, juggling clubs. If you
show
up at a juggling festival with a bunch of juggle boards and you'll sell out.
Your presentation showed things that you make in lots of bright colors, and I found that to be really wonderful. If you want people to touch something, pick it up and play with it, it has to speak to them. And I think the colors you choose are a big part of that.
Yeah, now we focus more like with the juggle board, like having simplicity, and then we add the color with the balls for like allow more focus. But yeah, at the beginning, I was just trying to make things that people wanted to touch.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Sharon, you don't have to be a question. You can have something to share about your own experience. Gina?
Not really a question, but you guys might have questions based off the back of this. Me and Gina, we run fire performing courses for young visually impaired students, so completely blind children at the age of 11 and up. So you might have some questions for us. No one's died.
Wow. Right. Yeah, that is actually really interesting work they're doing. We are going to have like other meetings and other breakout rooms later on, so it could be a theme for another day. I just want to check with Marcos real quick because he had his hand up and I want to see if he's got a topic there. But Sticklands in general, super interesting stuff going on there. Marcos, what was your question?
Hello. I don't have a question. Actually, if someone has a question, is more important, you can speak. But I want to add one example in this conversation about more accessible objects. I was in Athens in public school, and I showed them all the methodology of functional juggling, and the teachers.
Hey, fellow circus people, here is Band Attack speaking from the main room. I will close the breakout rooms in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, 5 minutes. Okay. 5 minutes is my thoughts for the words for English. Yeah, and they show the video that I make after the visit Play Factory with Davide. I cut the tatami with a jungle board. I put it on the top, I painted, and then I cut it with a knife. And yeah, and it will work. It was very good, and it was perfect. And it was, for them, it was very nice idea because they say, we have 20 pieces of this in garage and we don't use it, so we can make 20. And the first thought from another teacher was, yeah, but who will cut it? I cannot cut it. You cannot cut it. They cannot use just a knife. They don't know. They didn't do never. So it's very important that for them, okay, you cannot cut, okay, but there is a juggle board for 30, 40, 50 euros because the public school here in Greece, they not buy. They are not a private school that, okay, I want 10 pieces of this, 20 pieces of this, 1 piece of this, because I want to make a school of Montessori school or of forest school and everything, all the, you know. So it's very important to have something more cheap. That because I never forget Davide told me that when you go to learn music, you cannot go home with your without your guitar. You need something to do, drink something, you know.
Yeah.
So
practice, same as juggling and every discipline, you know.
Yeah.
You can't go to a lesson and then go home and have nothing to practice with, of course. Yeah, the challenges of the, if I can intervene is like, it was great in the beginning. It's like, oh my god, this is so easy. Mats are everywhere, they're cheap, and you know, and it's always going to be possible to laser cut 5 rails out of a mat, you know, gymnastic mat. But then you have the challenges of too flexible, wobbly, so you have to put it on the ground and so on. But that's another example of you know, just to get people started with a low budget. It's absolutely something to be explored more seriously.
Yeah, and because we don't have so much time left, I want to make sure I capture some points here, which is that I hope everyone has like a clear understanding of how this chicken and egg conversation works, and how all of this open source sharing and stuff, it's really symbiotic. We all win from this. You know, like Play Juggle wants to scale up, but for them to scale up, there has to be a culture. You know, so the more we can build the culture, the more we can scale up. So all of us who are out there, you know, creating, building in our garages, or coming up with whatever solution we can to get these ideas in front of people and interacting with them, then the more we can develop the industry around it. Yeah.
Please don't take my participation here as industry that wants to develop and grow for making money. Play is perfectly healthy as it is. I'm just in love with this project, and I think I was careful enough to make sure that it's Craig's method is the functional juggling, the thing we have to put an effort in spreading around, not the toys and the objects themselves. That will come anyways, so you know. So let's go for it.
Great. So if you want, the breakout room's going to close automatically in probably about 60 seconds, but you can just exit by going to the bottom of the screen and say close breakout room. It'll bring you back to the main hall. We're just going to do like 5-minute conclusion, and everybody's free to go.
So hello everybody, welcome back to the main room.
This is the moment when we make a short conclusion what happened in the breakout rooms. Maybe Craig, you want to start?
Yeah, so I made some notes. It was a pretty technical breakout room we had. There were some other manufacturers in there with us, people who have tried their own open source solutions. And it was really interesting to hear their questions and conversations with Davide. So some of the focuses were on the challenges with reaching like distribution capacity, like at what scale does it become sort of efficient or not? And Davide says that we're not fully industrialized yet. We still need to scale up, and that some of the next steps he's considering is investing in molds to produce with plastic. So when you're producing at volume, then everything gets a lot cheaper, a lot more accessible. Talked about how the creation process, his creation process, is greatly influenced by just the availability of materials. So when he begins to produce, he's first thinking about what he has on hand to do that with. Also commented or mentioned how important it is or vital to prototype with the end user. So it's another creation or process that Davide uses, which is to prototype and put the objects in the hands of the users so that they can then give him feedback. It's part of his creation. Stickland's 3D project was there, and they had made some suggestions about bringing up some questions about printed high density molds, which Davide seemed to know a lot about already. And we discussed a lot of alternative open source models and how it's sort of a chicken and an egg development strategy here, where the community is coming up with local solutions to increase the practice. And then partners like Play Juggling are helping to expand the accessibility of the objects. We talked a lot about the latest alternatives in manufacturing technologies. And we ended with this more like recent experiment that Marcos has been doing about using Takami mats. So like those mats that you get in gyms, floor mats, and you can just use it and cut out the shape you want. It's not the best solution, obviously, but if you're in a pinch and you want to get juggle boards going, you could use that idea. That's what we talked about.
Thank you, Craig. Lapo, what happened in your room?
We talk about juggle board, basically. So we answered to some questions about how to use a juggler, why. We describe our job in Italy. I mean, the daily job with in the schools with special needs. We talk about juggleboard in the circus schools. We say that juggleboard is not the aim. It's just a really nice tool to help people to be more inclusive. We talk about the juggling gardens. I don't know. Did I forgetting something, Sarah?
No, okay, we talk about this, and then there was some question about this topic, and that's it, yeah.
Thank you, Lapo Botteri.
You're welcome, Veronika Gallyas.
So I give a short sum up of what happened in the community and networking room. We were a lovely bunch of people. We had Jeff from Malta running a small studio. So if when you go next time, guys, to Malta, you know where to look for him. And then Isabel from Circus in Beweging. We had friends from US near Vermont Circus, CIRCUS, which is a camp for kids for already 40 years now, Tristan and Jeff. And we were talking, we had like around just to see who is who and what we are doing. And then we also talked about the juggle board to see like who's using for what and what kind of games you can play with. And if it is possible just to put it in the space, for example, and if kids can already put their hands on and discover it. Jeff mentioned that his experience is that like the 3 to 6 years old kids, they are much more interested in it in his environment. And then we had like this other two tools, which one was the chuks, like balls, having this sound, having seeds inside or plastic or whatever, so you can make sounds while you are juggle. And then also we saw the odd balls, which can be connected to apps, and then you can make different sounds with that through your speaker or your phone as well. And we were also just finishing the conversation with founding possibilities with the sentence that is very hard to get funding. So that was happening in the networking room. I don't know, Bendaguz, you were on the town square. Was somebody in the town square? You wanna say something?
I was there alone, totally alone. No one visited the fourth room. So basically, everyone was spread in the first three, and I was flying around.
Like a
But now we know
butterfly.
for next time. Now we know for next time we'll probably just do 3 rooms. Yeah, that's everything for the day. I don't have a closing here, a way to finish. I'm just going to say thanks again. Oh, actually, that's not true. I have a slide to share. Something about next episode. That's what I'm going to end with. Letting everybody know what to expect in 2 weeks on, what is the date, Veronika?
19th February.
Yeah, I think
So
it's here.
our
So
date is like 19th February, and then the same 5th and 19th in March, and 2nd of April. That's the 5 episodes.
So the next episode is not going to be hosted by me. It's going to be a community spotlight episode. So we alternate in between episodes that I deliver and then episodes that are community spotlights. So in next episode, I call it Do It Yourself. It's going to take a look with Marcos Karamitros, who's been here having conversations with us, and he's going to talk about affordable and adaptive juggling props from repurposed materials. And then we're also going to listen to a Scotchnia Studio talk about lessons they've learned through real life applications with differently abled groups all around Poland. So if you're interested to hear more from our community members, then our next episode, you should come join us. And now I'm finished. Thank you all so much. It has been a pleasure. I look forward to the next one. All of the people who are here. Thanks everyone for putting it together with us. Veronika, if you have anything last to say.
Yeah, I also would like to thank you as well for taking this role. And a small piece of information is that the same link will be used next time. So you don't need to wait, guys, for a new link. You can use the same one as today. That's going to be used for the next episodes as well. And we recorded this meeting, so we're gonna edit it. Personally, Bendigo is gonna edit it, and you can find it on the YouTube channel very soon of the Hungarian Juggling Association. We're gonna send you an email where to look for, and also on the same YouTube channel you can look back all those digital conferences and seminars we did in the last couple of years, which are like very, very interesting as well. So,
yeah, the material is still relevant. We've got a few playlists from other events that we've done, spotlights of more community members. It's really such a growing culture, so we're trying to take the focus here to pay attention to letting everybody see and know each other. Thanks so much, Veronika.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you everybody for being with us. We wait for you being back the next time, and enjoy your juggling and circus until then. Goodbye.